Have you ever been dismissed, belittled, or ignored by someone whose opinion you should never have cared about in the first place? It stings, doesn't it? That moment when you realize that someone you've been kind to, or someone whose respect you've sought, doesn't value you the way you deserve. But why does it hurt so much? Because it challenges something deeper within us, the need for acknowledgement and respect. We all seek validation, to some extent, but what happens when we don't get it? How do we respond when others fail to see us for who we truly are? Let's face it, it can feel like a betrayal when someone doesn't respect you, and it often feels like a battle between your self-worth and their perception of you. But the question is, do we let their disrespect dictate our peace, our actions, or our sense of self? No, we don't. Not if we take a page from the Stoic philosophy. Stoicism, a school of thought rooted in ancient Greece and Rome, teaches us not just how to cope with adversity, but how to transcend it. It shows us that how we respond to disrespect defines us more than the disrespect itself. And let me tell you, as someone who's been through the ringer of human relationships, Stoicism offers the perfect blueprint for not just surviving disrespect, but rising above it. So let's dive into 5 powerful Stoic principles and practices you can use to handle people who don't respect you. These strategies won't just help you preserve your dignity, they'll empower you to control your emotions, your actions, and your self-image, no matter what others throw your way. 1. Detach from their actions. You can't control what they think or do. Picture this. You've worked tirelessly on a project, giving it your all. You've poured time, energy, and passion into it. But when the feedback comes, it's nothing but a harsh critique, dismissing your efforts as if they meant nothing. You're crushed. But why? You might be thinking, if I did everything right, why didn't they see it? Here's the catch. You cannot control other people's thoughts, opinions, or actions. This truth is a cornerstone of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that while we can't control how people react to us or treat us, we have the power to control how we respond. When someone disrespects you, take a step back and remind yourself that their actions are about them, not you. You are not defined by their judgment. People will act as they do, not based on your actions, but on their own perceptions, biases, or even insecurities. Take my experience, for example. A few years ago, I was working on a collaborative project with a colleague who, despite agreeing with all the ideas, shot them down in front of the team. At first, I felt humiliated. I had spent weeks crafting something I was proud of, and here was someone tearing it down with no apparent reason other than to undermine me. I wanted to defend myself, to shout, but I knew that would only fuel the fire. Instead, I leaned into the Stoic practice of detachment. I asked myself, what part of this can I control? The answer was simple: nothing. So I did the only thing I could. I focused on improving the project and not letting the disrespect faze me. Over time, this response not only safeguarded my peace, but also earned me respect in ways that confrontation never would have. 2. Refocus on what you can control, your inner peace. This point cannot be emphasized enough. Your inner peace is yours to protect. Respect is external, but inner peace is an internal fortress that you can cultivate through consistent practice. People will constantly test this boundary, but it's up to you whether or not you let their actions breach it. Think of your inner peace like a candle. When you're in a state of tranquility, your light burns brightly. But when you let others' disrespect or negativity flicker with your emotions, that candle dims. And the longer you let someone else's behavior control your emotional state, the dimmer your light becomes. Epictetus, another legendary Stoic philosopher, put it this way: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." I remember a moment when I was sitting in a meeting with a group of people discussing an important issue. A person I respected started talking over me, dismissing my points without even hearing them. It was frustrating. I wanted to snap back, but I remembered that my peace mattered more than this individual's disrespect. Instead of raising my voice, I took a deep breath and maintained my composure. I spoke calmly, reaffirmed my position, and walked away feeling empowered. I hadn't let their behavior steal my peace, and I felt strong because of it. This is the Stoic path, focusing on what you can control. Don't let disrespect be the thing that makes you lose your cool. Instead, refocus your energy on maintaining your inner peace, and let that be the foundation for every response, every action, and every decision. 3. Set boundaries. Respect yourself. Enough to walk away. In a world where people are constantly testing our limits, setting boundaries is essential. Respect starts with self-respect. If you don't stand firm in your values, others will walk all over you. That's a hard truth, but it's a necessary one. You must be willing to walk away from situations where disrespect is tolerated. Think about it. Have you ever stayed in a friendship or relationship because you were too afraid to assert your needs, even when your boundaries were constantly disrespected? That's where Stoicism steps in. The Stoic principle of self-mastery and wisdom teaches us to act based on our values, not based on the actions of others. There's a time to confront, and there's a time to simply remove yourself from toxic environments. I've been in situations where I allowed disrespect to creep into my relationships, both personal and professional. In one case, a friend of mine continuously dismissed my contributions and only reached out when it benefited them. It was clear they didn't value me as a friend. And the worst part, I was letting it happen. One day, I had enough. Instead of bottling up my frustrations, I distanced myself. I politely told them that our dynamic wasn't working for me anymore, and that I needed space to focus on more meaningful connections. That was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but also one of the most liberating. By walking away, I reclaimed my peace and self-worth. 4. Use your energy wisely. Choose your battles. A common temptation when someone disrespects us is to immediately jump into defense mode. We feel compelled to fight back, to prove our worth. But here's the catch. Not every battle is worth your energy. Stoicism teaches us that energy is finite. If you waste it on every slight or disrespectful act, you will drain yourself emotionally and mentally. Instead, pick your battles carefully. Ask yourself, is this situation worth fighting for? Will my response have any long-term impact, or will it just fuel the fire? Stoics know that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Consider a time when someone undermined you in front of others. You might have felt the urge to immediately correct them or defend your position. But instead, take a moment to assess the bigger picture. Is it worth engaging? Or would it be more powerful to simply maintain your composure, let them speak, and walk away, knowing that their words have no power over you? I remember a situation where a colleague made a public remark about my work that was not only disrespectful, but inaccurate. In the moment, I wanted to correct them, to demonstrate my knowledge. But then I thought about the bigger picture. Did I want to spend energy fighting someone who wasn't open to reason? So I chose to let it go. I stayed calm and moved on, knowing that my silence spoke volumes. 5. Lead by example. Show respect to gain respect. In the end, one of the most powerful ways to handle disrespect is to lead by example. By showing others the respect they deserve, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated in return. It's easy to fall into the trap of treating others the way they treat us, but true Stoic wisdom lies in treating others with dignity and respect, even when they don't extend the same to you. I've found that when you lead with kindness and respect, others often rise to meet you at that level. In one instance, I was working with a difficult client who, at first, seemed to undermine everything I did. Instead of responding in kind, I continued to provide value and show professionalism. Slowly but surely, that client began to trust me, and the dynamic shifted. Respect begets respect. Conclusion. When faced with disrespect, the Stoic path isn't about rolling over and accepting mistreatment. It's about recognizing that you have the power to respond with grace, to preserve your dignity, and to protect your peace. Through detachment, self-mastery, setting boundaries, choosing your battles, and leading by example, you not only shield yourself from the sting of disrespect, but you also grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So, the next time someone disrespects you, ask yourself, will I let their actions control me, or will I take control of my response? The choice, as always, is yours. And with Stoicism by your side, it's one you can make with confidence and calm.